Malicious compliance in aerospace, kinda long. I was reading a story about a contract programmer that printed all of the code, scripts they'd written out to paper to hand off to their former employer upon termination. Legally it checked all the boxes, but was basically unusable unless someone rekeyed it all in. This reminded me of my own experience. Note: this story is a combination of aerospace engineering and IT, so a little background is needed. When you are a major airframe manufacturer and you design and build aircraft for the U.S. Department of Defense, DoD, it's not uncommon to make little money off the initial work. The real profit often comes from the decades of follow-on work. Enhancements, modifications, new variants, new payloads, new engines, new customers, requirements, etc. The initial design and analysis is almost always the starting point for that additional work. So, needless to say, it's protected like gold since nobody could compete for follow-on work without it. Problem is, it technically, legally might belong to the DoD. So here I am, a kinda new aero engineer and departmental IT guy, engineer, Fortran programmer, HP UX admin, Oracle DBA, etc. DoD puts out a contract for bid to do a metric megaton of analysis work on an aircraft my company stopped building 20+ years earlier but were still in heavy use. The contract was very lucrative. And whoever did that analysis would, of course, get to do the physical work for even more dollar. Normally, this contract would go straight to my company since only we had the data needed. But the DoD program office wanted to have someone else compete for it as leverage for a better deal and instructed us to deliver a copy of all the legacy engineering data to the other company. Again, legally this was their data, not ours. We just had it. And we had it all over the place. Mainframe, 2 different flavors of IBM OSes, files, magnetic tapes, Oracle on hydrogen phosphide UX, etc. Decades of analysis data. So after discussing it with my boss, I wrote some code to tap into each of these sources, extract the data, and write it to mainframe files which were loosely structured, slightly less than single precision. I then dumped them to our massive industrial size printers. 7 feet of green barred tractor feed paper later, we shipped it to our competitors. DoD came back to us and said in no uncertain terms that if we ever want to win a contract again we better send it to them in digital format. Which to me, meant mainframe tapes. Easy peasy for us to do, not so much for the competitor to use. DoD came back again and said they knew we had this ported down to hydrogen phosphide UX and we better provide it on more modern media. Now at the time, HP had these state-of-the-art big funky CDs that were once writable. To use them you needed a specific Tower CD reader, writer and associated workstation to connect it to, which we had. Total cost of that setup was $50,000 for just the hardware. So after several days of binary FTPing the files down from the mainframes, I burned them to those funky CDs and we shipped off the loosely structured, tough to parse with code. Less than single precision, worthless, episodic, not unusable, but not straightforward, HP proprietary formatted media to the competitor. DoD came back again and said quit playing games and send the original data. So, I managed to get it onto some media that they could use. And this was the gold data. Double precision, binary, massive, etc. DoD came back again and said that the competitor needed the Fortran 4 source code to read the binary data. But while the DoD owned the data, my company wrote that code back in the 60s, 70s and we owned it. So we graciously offered to sell them a copy for something like 10x the value of both the analysis contract and estimated value of the remanufacturing contract. Which was actually fair because this was our code and had all of our intellectual property in it. We won both contracts. The aircraft in question has now been retired. Edit. Based on comments and for accuracy, the statement, problem is, technically, legally it belongs to the DoD. 2. Problem is, it technically, legally ** might * belong to the DoD. Not all contracts are the same.